A careful, bold hypothesis. Reasonable doubt subversion history. Hello everyone, I'm Qin. Again today to help you subvert history. What today's theme is to subvert it. That is Yue Fei. A talk Yue Fei. We should all ages with a sigh. Because he was loyal to the country, get rid of Jin. But was Song Gaozong. Trumped up charges to kill. However, talked about Yue Fei. Historical drama with real Yue Fei. In the end it is consistent. There is a lot that, with not the same place we imagine. So today to help you, take that on a say. Yue Fei's all sorts of matters. First we look at the appearance of Yue Fei. In the history of drama, most are like an image. That he is a bearded male beauty. But the true Yue Fei, is it really long like this? Oh, does not seem to. Because in the southern song Lu Song of Fig 4 volumes inside ZTE, he referred to the 4-star Lu Guangshi or Hanshis Hong. Yue Fei with Zhang Jun. Then we can look at the appearance of Yue Fei. Yue Fei is this one. You can notice the Yue Fei. His face has no large. Feel there are Chinese characters face double chin. And his body is also overweight. Seems to have a fat belly, right? So you see, this will be compared to the 4 lined up. Have you ever noticed? He was so many people there. The only fattest, most burly. So Yue Fei is not a bearded male beauty. In this place was questioned. Then we take a look at the way in historical records. Ruan Yuan Qing Shirtsu essays inside particularly mention that Yue Fei is large and square. Wide forehead, sparse brow, cheeks very lucrative. Head round the tip of the nose from the mouth. Very long without heavy mustache. So we can see this place from the he is Chinese characters face double chin. And that the focus is no beard. With the portrait we have just seen. Or a historical drama. Completely different image. That in song inside. There is mention of portrait Hanshis Hong. You can take a look at the description of his appearance. Head said he was stalwart, strength of character such as instantaneous power. Such a description. It should be regarded as good-looking man, right? But it is also interesting song. Inside Yue Fei. But did not mention his looks. Only mention his integrity. Taciturn character. There are a number of high strength, force, much effort. So this place by the we can see it. In terms of looks, Yue Fei. Song really think. Nothing special. So do not be described in detail for him. So here. We must get rid of the impression of Yue Fei. That first he did not beard. And he looks. We also did not seem like the rumors. Handsome man image. This view. Already looks very different from the. Look at the back of Yue Fei tattooing. We all know that behind the words engraved Yue Fei. Generally some people believe that sake. Some people think that is loyal patriotic. Which version fishes in the end it? In fact loyal patriotic, why? Because inside song. On the record very clearly. Said that after the Qin Hui Yue Fei catch up. He called a good cast interrogation. See if he has not committed any fault. In this time Fei back skirt shown split cast. Meaning that he was to split the clothes, come back to see Kevin Ho. He cast a look at the top results have 4 characters. That is, loyal patriotic. But also in-depth skin management. So this place by the one thing you can be sure that Yue Fei really behind the words. But loyal patriotic. But what time it is engraved? Who carved? And which is not mentioned in song. But even though there is no historical mention. But there are rumors folk who carved it. Yao is his mother. But such a statement. Why in fact disputed? Because the mother Yao. In fact, a peasant girl. A peasant girl, not too familiar word. How there are ways to carve the word. If you want tattooed skin but also deep processing of words. It does not also have special tattoo technology can. But Yue Fei's mother is a peasant girl. Which technology will have this tattoo right? So therefore the mother of Yue Fei. Yue Fei stabbed the words. In fact, it is unlikely that there's a situation that is likely to. Yue Fei tattooed mother is someone to help. If that is the case, it should also hired professional tattoos division. Since the Song Dynasty, tattooing but a profound craft. Most people cannot do. Because their words are very particular about. He wants to loose tobacco ink needle into the tube. Then the skin on painting the word. After drawing the word only stab down. Let the ink deep into the skin where. Then coat it with wine so that it can. Think of this process as also full of tedious. If the general population. There is no way to do good, right? But there Yue Fei tattooed behind the words. There is another legend. Such a statement saying. He came because tattooing is mercenary soldiers. Why volunteer force since the adoption of the Song Dynasty? Put it simply. That is, spend money on regular army soldiers on the right. But because Xiao Kuangyin heavy paper light weapons. So generally people are not willing to be a soldier. So recruited manpower. The quality is not very good mixed. There are homeless poor even criminals. These people because of poor quality. Deserters' probability is relatively large, so the Song Dynasty will be tattooed as soldiers. Began as a tattoo on his face. But then I like this. They are likely to lead to civil discrimination. It is recommended by the minister. Other less conspicuous change of location. Some are engraved on the arm. Someone is engraved on the back of the hand. There are even carved in the palm of the jaws of death. So this is a tattooed soldier. Put it simply. Is to prevent soldiers deserters on the right. And in order to facilitate the identification. So they generally. Barbed not something else. Force designation must be. And thorn's sight. Are also more prominent place. Then we take a look at this word Yue Fei thorn. He stabbed loyal patriotic. Unit designation itself is just nothing to do. Coupled with his part of it is engraved on the back. That in the back, you put on clothes could not see anything. So do Yue Fei. Tattoo with the contents of the sight view. Song is said to be tattooed soldier system. Obviously not true. I personally think that is. Mother might be worried. After Yue Fei into the military. Be affected by this big vat. Then astray. He is particularly encouraged. After you join the army. Dedication to good for the country. Such a proposition is not casual. Because Yueka. That is the grandson of Yue Fei. Authored a book called Pure Gold Tuo compiled. This is in fact the principal Tuo pure coding. Yue Fei after being rehabilitated. By his grandson matters finishing his grandfather. It gathered from. So be inside of Yue Fei. Full of raw materials. In particular mention that there are top. Yao's mother is particularly encouraged Yue Fei. Enlist to serve the country. So I think that is. Because there is such a mother exhort. So go tattooing Yue Fei. Or as he has the consent of the mother. Please go back tattooed man. But whether their own or ask stabbed. Can certainly point is. He must get approval mother. We'll be back in tattooing. I do not know whether you agree with the good. Then we are going to ask is said. Since there are loyal patriotic in song. Why would spread? Their sake of this version of it. Many people think. Such a version of the outgoing. Should do with Song Gaozong. We all know. Yue Fei Jin exploit shine through play. In order to encourage him so Song Gaozong. In particular he bestowed 4 characters. That's loyalty of Yue Fei. And he not only gave him these 4 characters. Even had to ask people to do a banner. Write up these words. So then set off when Yue Fei. With this banner will face coming to a decision. As a sign of his troops. That is, his Yujiajun. So we just see loyalty of Yue Fei. Yu Jijun come to know. But we have to ask loyalty of Yue Fei with sake. There are still great differences that how it will evolve over. That should be affected by this, then the Ming and Qin dynasties. How to say? Let's take a look at the contents of the Ming novels. Loyalty to remember in between the Ming dynasty Qin Hui years. Particularly mention that Yue Fei's spine has Qixin national salvation words. The Jiajing Nianjian of Wu Mu Chuan loyalty. It is mentioned that Yue Fei also to encourage each person Mian. Please pay particular craftsman stab in the back. Loyal patriotic 4 characters. Then late Ming Feng Ming loyalty to the flag of legend. It is mentioned that Yue Fei behind the sake of the 4 characters. Yue Fei told him to stab the men Shin. So at least to the late Ming time. It is derived from the sake of argument. And here we can find say. Stab people have 2 versions. One is Yue Fei please craftsman Thorn. One is Zhang Xian Yue Fei called his men to stab. But the late Ming and have not appeared. You must see such a statement. When will it appear? It was time to go to the Qing dynasty. Because of this word in the Qing dynasty, a loyalty of Yue Fei Qianlong inside. Loyalty word thorn in law training. Therefore, this argument appeared you must easy. So this is why there. The origin of sake and Yumasizi. So to put it bluntly, these 2 things do not exist. Are the folk storyteller. Imagine fabricated results. But tattooing behind Yue Fei. There's also a different version. That said, with his grandson about Yueka. How to say? Because Yu temple in. Inside there is a copper Jew rubbings. On top of a sake of the 4 characters. The book is Yueka. Most likely. Yasukuni shrine someone special to Yuan. After the visit to the Yasukuni, see this copper grand carved above. Sake of the 4 characters. This is the thought behind the words engraved Yue Fei. So many rumors under. Will turn out to be sake. But no matter which version. Do not affect the positioning in the history of Yue Fei. Is how good it wants to serve the country faithfully. And then the next. Let us get Yue Fei's military exploits. We know the name of Yue Fei Jinan. Is called Wushu Gold. The Wushu Gold upon which the 2 military services fame. One is the Iron Horse Kidnapper is a Buddha. These 2 units. Let him invincible also encroaching linen. But we have to ask is. This is what the 2 forces do. Well we first saw Iron Buddha. Inside the tower to say Buddhist pagoda. So Iron Tower is the meaning of Buddha. So the name suggests. This is Iron Buddha. Body bag full armor of arms. That is heavy cavalry on the right. And not only the soldiers wearing heavy armor. Only her eyes. Even his horse was also wearing heavy armor. Only 4 horse legs no armor protection. Such a force. Because it's very heavy armor. So tackling ability super. Such a force that is not only a. It has as many as 3,000. Why? Because of this very valuable armor. In fact, it cannot be more than arms. That these soldiers. On the one hand to bear such a heavy armor. On the one hand and against. So these soldiers' physique. Is quite amazing. Considered elite of the elite. Best of the best. Any provisions of this Iron Buddha. 3 horses to Piso series. It came out. Really as if a tower general. Power and influence is amazing. But also because of his power and influence quite amazing. So behind this Iron Horse of Buddha. He also put Barricade's child. The Barricade's child is placed in the back of a horse. Back to avoid the situation of the horse. So long as he is a man further. The barricades that the child will follow a step forward. It is to never look back on the right shows. One can imagine that this Iron Buddha lethality is really big. It is said that when you want to conquer new territories, rely on this invincible Iron Buddha. But this Iron Buddha, there is also a minor drawback. That's enough power machine. So we should have another maneuverable arms to match. This is a flexibility that strong arms. Ma is the kidnapper. In fact, the kidnapper is the meaning of left and right wings. Therefore, such an arms. The formed matrix method, also known as Ma array of things kidnapper. In fact, every soldier has 2 horses. After an order in which the felled can immediately use another one, to the surprise of the action. And them. Most of them are bows and arrows with guns. So he can fight at close range. Can be long-range shooting. So there is quite a mobility. And between them strikes. ATK also super. That one can imagine to get. Such an Iron Buddha with arms. Of course proper retreat. The severity of affordable right. Therefore, historical records. That is, VSC past sentence. The Wangrua Hai which was Jiazi. In particular mention that there. The 2 forces are mutually match. They are usually 3,000 Iron Buddha. With 10,000 horse kidnapper. Proper advance and retreat like this. And those who cannot take the city. On the use of these 2 units to conquer new territories. So these 2 arms. The reason is invincible wushu gold. Then we have to ask. This has 2 advantages of such arms. Yue Fei is how to break it. Speaking of Yue Fei really very much. Yue Fei trenches to deal first with the horse kidnapper. We know the kidnapper horse. Assault force super maneuverability. So he probably between either. Cannot see the situation on the ground. So if the ground was covered with straw. Then do cover up. Then do a moat. Check inside put spikes. That cripple horse like this the last time. Be careful not to fall into it no problem. Will be stabbed or stabbed to death spikes. So this greatly reduced the kidnapper horse mobility. As for Iron Buddha that how to do it. Yue Fei called the Mazar knife with another thing. This Mazar knife if from afar. Is like a long-handled wooden machete tied in front of the same. However, such a knife Mazar. Not the special cut knives to injure horses. Why cut horse? Because as long as he cut off a horse himself away. After the horse once fell. It will pour and attached 3 down together. Because it is connected by a 3-piso. And they have a thick layer of body armor. After that 3 down together. You simply get up again. Buddha sitting on top of the Iron Army. The soldier would be very difficult to climb up. However, we must ask. That Iron Buddha army. Body armor so thick. Cut also cut less than the kill also kill. Then how to do it? Yue Fei very smart. He called his Yu Jiajun. With a hammer with Tizui. Nothing is wound with a hammer Tizui. But hit a few times. But they would create so-called threading bludgeoning. That is, internal injuries, 1 not come to a twice. 2 not come to a third. Make a dozen times. You this Iron Buddha then a thick armor. Also it should be seriously wounded. Therefore, according to historical records, Yu Jiajun attack not only once. He is 10 times or even dozens of times. Army cannot stand up to hit the Iron Buddha. So wushu gold never imagined. Own fame of the 2 military services. Yue Fei will all be cracked. So under is shocked. We'll say a few words a mortal line. Is Hanshani Yu Jiajun difficult to shake? So you hear. Do you think? Yue Fei's art of war and his tactics. It is very clever there. It is a pity that good. In the case of recapture of the Central Plains, mate. Song Gao actually bursts of 12 gold medals. Yue Fei called back. Note that you keep up here. Here the so-called 12 gold medals. Gold do not really brand. It is actually painted with red paint chips. On top of the word is written in yellow. So it is called gold. The hair can be a sign of such a person. Only one person, and that is the emperor. The emperor issued gold medal. On behalf of the command is very important. If the bursts of 12 gold medals, representatives of non-worth of emergency cannot follow. The description so Song. Yue Fei was within 1 day. Received 12 gold medals shall know that. There is no way he would never win the. So he was very angry. East's eye by tears. Cried a decade of power destroyed That is my last fight so hard. To almost recovered. The results will fall short of good. Yue Fei was later returned to the capital after Lenin was immediately arrested. Then Qin Hui. Secret killed in the stone pavilion here. Yue Fei has said that before his death, but also to pen and paper. Wrote impassioned 8 characters. Visible light of day, the sun in heaven. That his conscience was clear. And claims his innocence. Even close to death. Also completely change his hero on the right. But we have a problem that is derived. Qin Hui killed Yue Fei, trumped up charges. This is unwarranted in the end. What does it mean? That is to say, the general interpretation. Perhaps he is there or is no. Let's look at the historical argument. Well, in this historical argument, this is how to say it unwarranted. Song Chuan has mentioned that they're sure Yue Fei Hanch's home. That is the same as the gold star of his. In particular, ran to find Qin Hui to question. He asked how the matter after all. Qin Hui told him. Zhang Xianfei child goes with the book, although unknown, trumped being the body. That this thing is. Or maybe there is no. So Hanch's home to respond to the why unwarranted words serve world. So we just said. Maybe or no. Such a statement. Nested into such a situation. We can find out. This theory seems a bit strange. How to say? Hanch's home ran asked Qin Hui. The results Qin Hui told him. It may have it. Or is it no? That is not to say that just being told Hanch's home. I framed it Yue Fei. Therefore, such a statement. To restore dialogue if. Do not really make sense. But there is another way of saying. Mr. Liao is proposed. Mr. Liao particular, he went to study. At that time syntax Song. He believes that this sentence should be open to see. He said that in fact should be considered unwarranted. What does it mean to be MO? Speaking in the Song Dynasty. Does not mean it is. So many of the historical data in the Song Dynasty. MO must have mentioned the word. So we revert to his conversation. Did not turn out to be unwarranted to do. That we do not put this set into this conversation. We take a look at as reasonable. That Hanch's home to question Qin Hui. Qin Hui reply, he said. Do not do this thing. Everybody. You see this rhetorical tone came out. Of course it Hanch's home. Was asked on the spot, write down. So he only replied. But say unwarranted. Nor is it certainly must have you how it can serve the world. Mr. Liao you such a. Do not say. Is not it more reasonable the. Okay, this argument. I personally think that there is considerable credibility. But in recent years, Beijing Youth Daily Inside has published an article. This article is Eternal Mystery Unwarranted Article. Among this article, it presents a statement. Is just now saying completely different. This argument is to say. In fact, this unwarranted can be explained simply from a literal. That is not meant to be some. Why? Since Jun Nichen Sichen had to die. Song emperors would dare go against. So no reason to. Hanches Hong, you have any questions, then go to the emperor on the right. So from the point of view like this, seems capable justified. But it is the interaction with the Song Emperor Qin Hui view. We can find say. Song Gao never, not personally own or ordered to come forward to say. Yue Fei kill himself. After all, try to figure out the meaning of Qin Hui. To direct themselves to do so. So, to say that. Qin Hui said he is not required to have such a case to answer to the Hanches Hong. It is made clear. To find Hanches Hong Song Gao to fight for a reason. That said, it does not seem like this together. The interaction between the Song Emperor Qin Hui right now. So I personally think that says. Mr. Li Ao's statement, that is not there. Is more in line with the true meaning of unwarranted. Of course, Yue Fei in the end this is who killed it. Qin Hui are generally considered to be right. But it is not true it is Qin Hui. In fact, there are a lot of people question why. Because with Qin Hui Yue Fei when Wu Gaoguan be. Two people standing quite. Qin Hui, how this power can kill Yue Fei? If no one behind him. How dare he have the guts to do so? So we all directed at him hiding behind the mirror man. Is Song Gaozong. But make us curious. Why do you want to do Song Gaozong? There are two reasons that. Yue Fei is going to have a welcome second St. That is welcome back Huizong with Qinzong. But he did not think to say. If Huizong with Qinzong welcome back then. The emperor of the Song Emperor current position. Gone. His throne was gone. He certainly will not be happy, right? Secondly. Song Gao was eager conferences with Jin. Jin said that open out conditions. You may want to conferences, kill Yue Fei say. Because Yue Fei is a war party. I'll tell you peace talks. Then looking reconcilable Taliban Qin Hui to talk. Song Gao to a. Yue Fei might think would soldier dead weight. And secondly to just comply with the requirements of Jin. Peace negotiation as soon as possible too. So he killed Yue Fei. Well, right tantamount to kill two birds. So whether it is Song Gaozong. In fact, research has yet to be. But it is certain that. Song Gao certainly cannot avoid. That he has killed Yue Fei. Important one on the right. Okay, we know what to say. Yue Fei was later Qin Hui. Killed in the stone pavilion, right? Then we have to ask is. That his body was gone. There's no one for him to do the corpses. I told you it was for him to remove it. This person is the jailer Wei Shan. The Wei Shan has always been very admire Yue Fei. So in his grief after the death of Yue Fei abnormal. So he secretly took the opportunity to. Yue Fei's body back out. According to historical records. Government and discipline that is left inside. Particularly mention that, the Wei Shan carrying the remains of Yue Fei. Out of the city into Nine Song Temple. He was buried here. In order to do before burial marked sake. Yue Fei also particularly the front with jade. Hanging at the waist. But also on his grave two citrus species. Has not been telling others. To the death only exhort his son said. After the court will rehabilitate adults you. Will reward heavily to find the remains of Yue Fei. So you remember. I mark the return with the court. Let the remains of an adult you. May well get buried. So sure. 21 years after the death of Yue Fei. Song Xiaozhong for his vindication. Sure enough, a large amount of money to find. The whereabouts of the remains of Yue Fei, this time Wei Shan's son. Took his father's words tell the 11 official. Yue Fei's body from the official put out. Also reinterment. Where at reinterment? The place is the reinterment. Hangzhou West Lake Shixialing. So then here are Yuan Temple. Because Wei Shan. Yue Fei's body secretly steal out of results. So then do we hear Wei Shan? all of his great admiration. Why? A little jailer. If you do this kind of thing, it is not likely the whole clan will scourge family. But Wei Shun doubts will not go to this thing. He just wants to be properly preserved remains of Yue Fei. The courage with loyalty. Is not it very admirable? So future generations to shun a title Kuei. The jailer called him first through the ages. So let him go down. Everybody, so do not think that their identity is low. As long as you correct beliefs and conduct fair and square, you have the opportunity to stay eternal good name. Then we again next. And then talk about the so-called Book of Wumu. Folk rumors and the death of Yue Fei. His march to war, art of war. Wrote a suicide note. That's Wumu's suicide note. He wrote this Book of Wumu purpose. Hope he can court this book on military strategy to resist Qin. Later, such a rumor. There was his old Jin Yong. Among his written works. Said that this suicide note. Revenue came to be among the official. Confiscated on the right, later, a Black Street Gang emperor brother. Befriend with jailer. Overheard this matter. It found a chance to sneak into official. Put this Book of Wumu steal out. Hope to resist foreign. But has not had time to play a role. Later Taizhang help was suppressed court. Apart from this brother seriously injured in. Kept at a secret cave. Later, a chance encounter was with Guo Jing and Huang Rongget. With this Book of Wumu. Mongolian cavalry to resist up to 10 years. Then Huang Rong in death. Put it in a knife inside. This knife is too long. So we can see. There are a few words on top. Said extreme martial arts sword dragon slayer. Orders the world not from Mogan. Said that inside there is a metaphor for this art of war. Who can get this book on military strategy? The world will be able to obtain. Orders the world not from Mogan. So such a statement. Of course, his old Jin Yong. The results clever mind made up purely fictional. This boxing book in the end is how come it. This would be talked about the origin of Yue Fei martial arts. We all know apprentice Zhou Tong Yue Fei. And Zhou Tong is a Shaolin disciple of the master. So after he later received as a disciple of Yue Fei, he passed all the martial arts or Yue Fei. Yue Fei and under his careful guidance. Also the best of his true biography, but we all know. Later Yue Fei army well there. In the march to war on the occasion also saw a lot of the art of war. Later learned so Yue Fei. More than the essence of boxing. Later, coupled with the chaff. Compile a set of boxing is his wife's family boxing. So then that is wife's family boxing. He put it brought to teach his brothers. And his men. But before he died of it. He is said to be afraid of their own. Jue life lost. It is particularly a boxing book compiled. To his son Yu Zhen and Yu Ting. Then, after Yu Qin Yu Ting later seclusion. This book refreshed this boxing. Sorted out this boxing book. Is the Book of Wumu. So it is not like his old Jin Yong. The book said that the art of war or the art of war. But a fully fledged boxing books. Just this Book of Wumu boxing books. Later, in the end gone it. Nobody knows. But then this book or this world of boxing. Why this world? Later, because of the emergence of the so-called 20-generation descendants of Yue Fei Eugene. The Eugene, one day finishing their family graves, is located in Hubei Huangmei. Yu Jiaowan's side of the home. He was in the process of finishing. Found inside the tomb seems to have a book. He picked up a look. But it was this ancient manuscripts of the Book of Wumu. He found that to double. The original boxing books lost in here. He later contribute to the country. The official said there is no mention. This one Book of Wumu ancient manuscripts. Whether it is true. Perhaps future generations will not necessarily forgery. But this Eugene. He always had to learn his wife's family boxing. So when he later in 2008 folk martial arts to participate in the General Assembly. His loyalty to boxing superb. Later, won the gold medal. Later also therefore be included in the National Intangible Cultural Heritage. So that is Wumu suicide note in the end whether this is true. But what is certain is that Yue Fei's loyalty to boxing life Jue later, by the national certification. But also unfolds. I would like Yue Fei in heaven. It will be a little comforting, right? Well then next. Let us look at fritters. Our breakfast time. Many people like to eat milk with fried fritters. Or another folder sesame seed cake. I also like to eat fried dough sticks. Especially like peanut fritters accompanied by soup. When eating is to fritters stained peanut soup. Pick up and eat like this. Juicy very good entrance. But this fritters in the end is how come it. Folklore is related with Qin Hui. Why? Because after reportedly Qin Hui killed Yue Fei. Everyone hates people. At that time in the capital city of Linen, there are 2 street vendors selling breakfast. To this they hated Qin Hui. Put the dough into 2 dough. Qin Hui made a. He made a Mrs. Wan. Then stir together flour 2. Put inside the pan fried. Fried called cypress jaguay. Such a deep fried cypress with jaguay. Later, after being seen people, we feel fresh and curious they just point. I want to come to a deep fried cypress. So the 2 hawkers. To get them out to eat. Feeling after eating taste good. The results after word got out it. Eat more and more people are. But the dough is very time consuming how to do. So the 2 do a little work on hawkers. Directly to a group of 2 strips of dough cut. Not shape into the dough. Direct stir together. Like treated as Qin Hui and his wife Wan. Get inside the pan fried. Such a simple fried cypress. As is known as deep fried cypress. Later, we still the same. Still line up an endless stream. We just see them selling well. Have also done up. Later spread to the field. It started to make this pasta spread too. We will evolve into today's fritters. Such a folklore. Put it enthusiastically arrange things, but it really is so. Why does not seem to? The one in the southern Song Dynasty ago. No fried cypress with jaguay. Such a noun. At the earliest, when the Qin Dynasty only income. So when you say that, had this deep fried cypress with jaguay. And by Qin Hui is unlikely to come through the. But Song did not mention this reason. So that such a fritters. Is not this comes from the. In fact, it is debatable. And like pasta time still early. At least to the time of the Tang Dynasty had already seen. So this time have appeared fritters. It also felt very strange. But we can also do from a reference book. This book is the Southern Song Dynasty adherents, Wuzimu Dream Beam recorded. He had lived in Linen. So after the death of the country, he took his case lived. One by one to write it down. Written this Dream Beam record. So Dream Beam recorded record is the capital of the Southern Song Dynasty Linen, a life of very primitive data. That there is mention here first. A variety of fried snacks. Let's look at the fried snacks. Had here have mentioned that. There are well-established clip child fruit shortcake children oil. These are regarded as foods fried in. But no fried cypress nor jaguay. In fact later, someone, according to the head of things here to research, find food fried fruit song. In fact, later fritters. It's actually a fruit cake. So we are talking about deep fried cake. That cake is actually a deep fried food. but this cake with juniper. Ancient tones are interlinked. So was only borrowing it with others. This research was Xiaogui. Most likely come from the strange that Pu Songling in the Qin Dynasty. So at least be sure to say. The fried cypress with Xiaogui. There's no time in the Southern Song Dynasty, in the origin of such a deep fried cypress. There is no direct relationship with Qin Hui. So fritters because of Qin Hui came. That of course is non-existent up. So after you eat fritters, do not think about Qin Hui said that with the good. But Qin Hui alive hated people. Also, how do you say no peace after death? Qi said that the health of King Qin Hui died and was buried in Nyashushan. But if you now really go to see if Nyashushan, why not find a? One reason is that people hate him. Not long after his death. Put him destroyed. Furthermore, there are many thieves coveted. These grave robbers repeatedly patronize. Also his tomb was destroyed beyond recognition. Cannot find traces, so then, we do not know where the tomb of Qin Hui. But in recent years, there are as many archaeological team, said claims, suspected find the tomb of Qin Hui. This of course will cause a sensation everyone because Qin Hui dead for so many years. No one found his tomb when it appeared. So everyone concerned about this news. It was found that said the tomb of Qin Hui later did not take long to be destroyed. In fact, not his real tomb, now see, but his family tomb, was later built by descendants. Inside its cenotaph. That is a memorial mound. Bao Yuan Tiangang tomb has long uncut. Why? Because there is no long. But the most important tomb of Qin Hui. It was classified as a military powerhouse, so now still do not know. Army to help him keep the tomb of meaning. Where is the real tomb of Qin Hui when the results of the Song Dynasty? But it is interesting that archaeological research team is in the process of, and continued all the way down. An article circulated on the internet until the Republic of China are still a military powerhouse. Qin Hui claimed to be a suicide note. Even the founding of Chinese Communist Party, there will head Qin Hui statement. At this place, he himself is reconcilable Taliban positions. Is a very important military hub. Well, is the best way to preserve song. It is said that the Cultural Revolution. There are 4 new 4 olds not stand it. This place is because of the PLA stationed, but he felt not the human Yue Fei. So Yuan Tiangang was protected, did not properly take into consideration the position of the Song Emperor. Later, the PLA had run place, so then that posed Song Gaozong murder, but then withdrew it. In fact, Qin Hui and his wife's family also wants to preserve the blood. It is also tantamount to disguise to protect this place. But after there is no way that he had to say trumped up. Again, here is classified enthusiastically arranged things right. So mean. Yuan Tiangang tomb. Really likely Chunfeng said. Without prejudice to retain millennium. The tomb of Li Chunfeng. Now only a cenotaph of. He just wrote out. But there are different versions. A literary work. And in this article most, like, say the tomb of Li Chunfeng, he also said that particular caution. Li Chunfeng's tomb said have cautious and reprint excerpts. Local archaeological experts say, do not know why. He found the real tomb of Li Chunfeng, by some reporters take to use. Say he found the tomb small package, set in the family tomb of Qin Hui who. But 3 coffins tied with chains. So in the future if, after the remains inside, you see these articles on the web, or epitaph to research, please note this is not true testament Qin Hui. Li Chunfeng should be with his wife. And his disciples. But such a conclusion. How confound his suicide note may be right. The official did not officially come out and say, but it is interesting that. Later, grave robbers to steal the tomb of Qin Hui, so in the end no one knows whether it is true, was recorded down. As it was Yuan Tiangang. But also praised his poetry. Because the tomb of Yuan Tiangang, later, this would be talked about. Why does it will be damaged during the Cultural Revolution? A tomb of the cases mentioned. Not vandalism. In fact, the tomb of Qin Hui, but not careful how I say. Later we do not know where, because of this low-lying areas. But locals know. While during the Cultural Revolution, it is built upon near. Pirates went to the tomb of Qin Hui. Theft is said to huge fiscal 1 millions. The results actually makes the tomb of Yuan Tiangang flooded. The result was unmasked. After flooded gravekeeper felt, people found him to be arrested. This should not be the tomb of Yuan Tiangang. After Yuan Tiangang, how will find a tomb? Let it flooded his tomb. So he dug a grave look at soil. Did not take long days of office. Officials outcome of the trial. There's a hole in his office. Actually lenient mitigate his punishment. The results go on at unfathomable. Because he left to go get something. Why? Because he's very young. Found that echo very far away for a long time. So he thought says. You theft will let you off lightly. The following later it was said. The Deming compiled an official code that since there is such a tortuous kind of scale, Kai called them gong. Kai Gong heard this thing. It is obviously true tomb. Special files are also transferred out of view. It is restored to its original state. This is what we now see this. Continue to keep the tomb, so that it'll be. Well, this is not officially confirmed, and it was not only written down, so no matter Yuan Tiangang tomb, the dossier also turned out to be ad litem, whether millennium does not harm, and there are people, especially, whether the tomb of Li Chunfeng has been damaged. Go read the review tune out. Have to wait until later, after reading this Kind Kong, official archaeological team to probe. He also particularly praised poetry. Only the truth can. Think the thieves sealed the tomb of Qin Hui. I did not know they talking about 282. Theft is the satisfaction of everyone. Li Chunfeng and Yuan Tiangang the story. You listen to such a fate. Whether subvert everyone's impression of it. Do you think? A careful, bold hypothesis. Reasonable doubt subversion history. Do you have? So today a lot of talk about the story of Yue Fei. That is nothing more than to make you. There is a real understanding of Yue Fei. I do not know today. Whether subvert everyone's awareness. A careful, bold hypothesis. Reasonable doubt subversion history. Qin Shiping subversion history. Hello, we see you next time.